Members, please take your seats. Members, please take your seats. I note that the hour has come and that a quorum of this council is present. This council session is now coming to order. All visitors, please retire outside the seats. Please retire the seats outside the rails. And before proceeding, I'm going to ask for all sidebar conversations be please taken outside the council chambers. I'm going to ask for all those present to please set your cell phones to silent or vibrate. Thank you very much. To give our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes Pastor Edward Buster Fields, Senior Pastor at Ambassador Seat of Love Church, also a celebrity, outstanding singer of Gospel Sunday Best, seen on Black Entertainment Television. With that being said, I want to ask for all of our guests to please rise, and he's also the guest of Councilmember Jeffrey J. Young. Pastor Buster, the floor is yours.
Nobody told me that the road will be easy. Do I have a witness that know? I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. For this is the day that you have made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Father, we have all come and gathered together for a time of impartation, for working together. The Bible tells us when 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, then you are in the midst. God, our city needs you. Our community needs you. Our leaders need you. So, Lord, we invoke your presence right now. Bring us on one accord for the same agenda. No hidden motives, no other ulterior motives. But God, I pray that you will anoint and bless every leader of our city to come together in harmony and in peace so that we can impactfully make impact on our communities. Father God, now as we prepare to close this moment of invocation, I want to bind up the hand of the enemy that will try to arrest our communities. God, I pray and I decree and declare by the power of the Holy Ghost that today will be one of the greatest days in this city. God, I pray now that you will hold back all violence and crime and anything that is not like you. Lord, I pray for you to have your way. And God, if you do these things, each and every last one of us that's under, hallelujah, the sound of my voice will give you the glory, not just through praise, but through our actions. We will love one another, no matter the race, the color, or creed. We will spread the compassion to all who receive. And we pray this prayer in the name that's above every name. Hallelujah. You're God in creation. You are the Son of redemption. And you're the Holy Spirit that's in this place right now. Let's pray this prayer. In the name of Jesus Christ, let the people of God say amen.
Amen.
Say amen.
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 The chair thanks the pastor for the invocation. Council will be at ease. The next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, February 27, 2025. The chair recognizes Councilmember Cindy Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, February 27th, 2025 be approved.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, February 27, 2025 stand approved. All those in favor will indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the journal is approved. The next order of business is request for leave of absence, and the chair recognizes Majority Leader Gil Moore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the majority, there are no requests for leave of absence today.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Councilmember Brooks.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of the minority, there are no requests for leaves of absence today.
The chair thanks the council member. The chair now recognizes Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson for a motion concerning certain legislative matters that may arise during the course of today's session of council and that were not listed on the calendar circulated prior to today's council session.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that any of the following matters, if considered today, may be added to the agenda for this session of council as required by law, subsequently published on an amended agenda after the consideration of those matters. Resolutions authorizing hearings, amendments to bills on first reading, the reconsideration of a bill vetoed by or recalled from the mayor, amendments to bills recalled from the mayor, resolutions taking substantive action to be voted on in this session, a motion to withdraw a bill or resolution that is not on the calendar, and a motion placing a bill or resolution on or returning a bill or resolution from the suspension calendar that is not listed on today's calendar. The purpose of this motion is to provide the public with notice concerning possible actions by council that arose too late to be included on the calendar that was published prior to today's session.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the legislative matters stated by Councilmember Gilmore Richardson may be added to the agenda for today should those matters arise during the course of this session of council. All those in favor will indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. The chair will dispense with the regular order of business to recognize the guests and visitors joining us in chambers this morning. On behalf of all members of City Council, I welcome you to our council session. We appreciate your taking the time to join us as we attend to the legislative affairs of our great city. We certainly invite you to come again. As there are no presentations today, as there are no communications today, we will move to the next order of business, which is the introduction of bills and resolutions. The chair recognizes Councilmember Anthony Phillips.
Thank you, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. I have two privileged resolutions for introduction today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the privileged resolutions?
A privileged resolution recognizing March 2024 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month and promoting the public awareness of the risk of colon cancer.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a privileged resolution welcoming, recognizing, and commending Morehouse College and the Get on the Bus initiative for their dedication to mentorship, leadership, and community empowerment in Philadelphia.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. The chair recognizes Majority Leader Catherine Gilmore Richardson.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. Today I offer two privileged resolutions, one on your behalf.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the privileged resolutions?
A privileged resolution honoring the 50th anniversary of Adjournment, the largest African-American street festival in the United States, and its impact on African and African-American heritage, culture, and community.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a privileged resolution recognizing March 2nd through the 8th, 2025, during Women's History Month as Women in Construction WIC Week in the city of Philadelphia.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Jamie Gauthier.
Good morning, Council President. Today I have two bills, one that I'm co-introducing with Councilmember Landau.
Thank you very much. Would the clerk please read the title of the privileged resolutions?
An ordinance amending Chapter 19-4600 of Title 19 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Low-Income Tax Provisions by extending the deadline for low-income taxpayers to apply for a refund forgiveness of real estate taxes under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee.
And an ordinance amending Chapter 14-516 of the Philadelphia Code entitled West Overlay District by providing for a new digital sign controls, all under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. The chair recognizes Councilman Isaiah Thomas.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning to the listening public. 2 resolutions today.
Thank you very much. Would the chief clerk please read the title of the resolutions?
A privileged resolution recognizing the Pennsylvania Municipal League, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's oldest municipal association, and one of 5 of the oldest in the nation, as it celebrates its 125th anniversary.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution opposing any attempts to dismantle the U.S. Department of Education or slash federal funding for public school programs that support low-income students and students with disabilities.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. This resolution will be placed on the final passage calendar for consideration in the next session of council. The chair recognizes Councilmember Jones.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. President, colleagues, and viewing audience. I have 2 privileged resolutions today,
Thank you very much. Member Jones,
co-sponsored by you.
thank you very much, sir. The chief clerk please read the title of the privileged resolutions.
A privileged resolution honoring and recognizing the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Inc., Pennsylvania Chapter, NC 100 BWPA, on their annual legislative day and for their dedication to advancing gender and racial equality and empowering Black women during Women's History Month.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a privileged resolution authorizing the Committee on Education to investigate federal DEI program rollbacks and their effects on Philadelphia's tax-exempt higher education institutions.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. The chair recognizes Councilman Rue Landau.
Good morning, Council President, colleagues, and the public. I have 3 privileged resolutions, one of which the primary co-sponsor is Councilmember Jones.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the privileged resolutions?
A privileged resolution honoring and congratulating Coleman Domingo for his 2nd Oscar nomination for Best Actor in a Leading Role Award at the 97th Academy Awards for his role as John Divine G. Whitfield in the film Sing Sing.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a privileged resolution declaring March 2nd through the 8th, 2025 as Teen Tech Week in the city of Philadelphia and recognizing the importance of digital literacy to empower teens to be informed and responsible digital citizens.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a privileged resolution declaring March 2nd through the 8th, 2025 as National Consumer Protection Week in the city of Philadelphia.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. Council be at ease. The chair recognizes Councilmember Cindy Bass to introduce the resolution on behalf of Councilman Ketzi Lozada.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Councilwoman Ketzi Lozado, I introduce 1 privileged resolution.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the privileged resolution?
A privileged resolution recognizing March as Women's History Month in the city of Philadelphia.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. The chair recognizes Councilman Jeffrey J. Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I offer 1 bill.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the bill?
An ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 118 by striking from the city plan and vacating a widened portion of Warnock Street on the westerly side thereof between Burke Street and Norris Street and relocating the westerly house line of said Warnock Street so as to align with the westerly house line of the unaffected portions of Warnock Street as extending from Burke Street to Norris Street under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. The chair recognizes Councilmember Brooks.
Thank you, Council President. I have 2 resolutions to introduce today.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the resolutions?
A privileged resolution recognizing, celebrating, and expressing gratitude to Charlene Samuels for her leadership and unwavering dedication to improving the lives of her neighbors in Logan and her years of tireless and selfless service to the city of Philadelphia and its constituents on the occasion of Women's History Month.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And a privileged resolution honoring and commending Sonia Garrett for her constant service to her community and her tireless devotion to improving the lives of her neighbors in Logan, North Philadelphia, and on the occasion of Women's History Month.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. Y'all can clap, sorry. The chair recognizes the gentleman, Councilman Jim Harity.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, I have nada today.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Councilmember Nicholas O'Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning to all the listening public. Nothing today.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Mike Driscoll.
Mr. President, on behalf of Councilman Brian O'Neill and I, we have one privileged resolution.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the privileged resolution?
A privileged resolution proclaiming the month of March 2025 as Irish Heritage Month in the city of Philadelphia and honoring the St. Patrick's Day Observance Association of Philadelphia.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. The chair recognizes Councilmember O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no bills or resolutions.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from South Philly, Councilmember and Appropriations Chairman, Councilmember Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. For one bill, one non-privileged resolution, privileged resolution.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the bill and resolution?
A privileged resolution honoring and congratulating the Newman Goretti girls basketball team on winning the Philadelphia Catholic League championship.
This bill will be referred to, This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar.
And an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 22 Wolf Street, Philadelphia, PA 19148, under certain terms and conditions.
This bill will be referred to the appropriate committee. Chair recognizes Councilmember Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. No bills or resolutions this week.
And the chair recognizes Councilmember Dr. Nina Mott.
Thank you, Council President. Today I have one privileged resolution on your behalf.
Thank you very much. Will the chief clerk please read the title of the privileged resolution?
A privileged resolution thanking A. Bruce Crawley, founder of Millennium 3 Management, the African American Chamber of Commerce, and a founding member of Visit Philadelphia, for his decades of leadership and invaluable contributions to the business, hospitality, and political communities in Philadelphia.
This resolution will be placed on today's final passage calendar. There being no reports from the committees, the next order of business is the consideration of the calendar. The chair again recognizes Councilmember Gilmore Richardson for a motion concerning the bills on the second reading and final passage calendars.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the following bills on the second reading and final passage calendars. Numbers 241081, 241083, 250007, 250002, 250004, 250005, 250006, 250007, 250008, 250009, 25046, 25047, 25048, 25049, 25069, and 250070.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the bill numbers just read by Councilmember Gilmore Richardson. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries, and we will consider the bill on consent agenda shortly. The chair recognizes Councilman Gilmore Richardson for a purpose of calling up any additional bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passage calendars.
Thank you again, Mr. President. In addition to the bills being considered on the consent agenda, the following bills and resolutions are on the second reading and final passage calendar for today. Numbers 250130, 250157, 250163, 250165, 250167, 250171, 250071, 250072, and 250073. The following bills and resolutions on the calendar are being held: 250168, 240427-A, 240304-A, and 240665.
Thank you. Before considering these bills and resolutions, we will consider public comment as follows. Your public comment must concern matters on the second reading and final passage calendars for possible action at today's council session. All speakers must sign up in order to testify. If you have not already signed up for today's session, please do so now by giving your name to Ms. Hassan at the table outside the rails to my left. Once you have been signed up, you will be called in the order in which your name appears on a sign-up sheet. Under ideal circumstances, public commenters each will have 3 minutes to speak. However, this time limit may vary from session to session. Today, due to our volume, the time limit will be 2 minutes. In order to be fair to all those wishing to speak, I intend to hold faithfully to the 2-minute limit. When you begin speaking, you will see a green light on the podium when there are 30 seconds remaining to your time. The light will turn yellow, which is your reminder to conclude your remarks. Once 2 minutes have passed, the light will turn red and the sergeant at arms will disconnect the microphone. At that point, please yield the podium to the next speaker if you have not already done so. I also reserve the right pursuant to our rules of council to limit repetitious comments on the same subject matter. I will now ask the Chief Clerk to please read the name of our first speaker.
Kate Perez, and may Jeremy Blatstein, Kamora Anderson, Amy Novak, and Louis Bartholomew also make their way to the podium. Kate Perez, Jeremy Blatstein, Kamora Anderson, Amy Novak, and Louis Bartholomew.
Council will be at ease. First order of business, I want to address Councilmember O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask to be excused from the rest of the session and vote it no on the first resolution, 250130, and yes on all other bills and resolutions.
Thank you very much, and leave is granted, sir. Will the Chief Clerk please call up our first speaker, please?
Kate Perez, Jeremy Blatstein, Kamora Anderson, Amy Novak, and Louis Bartholomew.
Greetings to City Council President Kenyatta Johnson and all members of City Council. My name is Kamora Anderson, and I am the President of the National Association of Women in Construction, Philadelphia Chapter 145. I'm also the Director of Human Resources at Clemens Construction Company. I stand before you to thank Councilmember Catherine Gilmore Richardson for presenting this resolution, and I proudly support the resolution for the City of Philadelphia to recognize the first week in March as Women in Construction Week. NAWIC established Women in Construction Week to celebrate and promote the role of women in the construction industry while raising awareness about the opportunities available to them. This week serves as a time to recognize the achievements of women in the field, highlight their contributions, and encourage more women to pursue careers in construction. This year's theme is Together We Rise, reflects the power of unity, mentorship, and collaboration in advancing women in the construction industry. By formally recognizing Women in Construction Week, the City of Philadelphia would demonstrate its commitment to fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion in the trades, ensuring that women have the support and opportunities that they deserve. By honoring this week, we empower future generations, celebrate the perseverance of women in construction, and continue breaking down barriers in this industry. As Susan B. Anthony once said, whenever women gather together, failure is impossible. Thank you.
We have Amy Novak, Louis Bartholomew, may Natasha Scott Lawson, Jarrett Johnson, and Sharita Glenn also make their way to the podium.
Good morning. My name is Amy Novak, and I am the current president of Professional Women in Construction Philadelphia. On behalf of the board and members of PwC Philadelphia, I'd like to thank the council president, council, and especially council member Catherine Gilmore Richardson for recognizing the contributions of women in construction and related industries in Philadelphia. The resolution is a testament to the city's commitment to advancing and supporting women and minorities in business and life in general. We also recognize and appreciate the like-minded efforts of NAWIC in Philadelphia, WINC, and the AFL-CIO and other professional organizations. We look forward to promoting the growth of women in the architecture, engineering, and construction industries in partnership and synergy with these groups. PwC chapter seeks to acknowledge that every woman has a story to share. From the up-and-coming woman who is just beginning her journey to the seasoned professional, we all have unique perspectives and support to offer one another, and that is especially amplified during Women in Construction Week. Although women in construction are still the minority, we have a growing voice, and it is our goal to connect, promote, and advance women in the industry by engaging women and men from AEC and the affiliated firms through a broad range of educational and informative programs. We provide a platform to connect and engage across our industry and expand our business network that is only successful with the support of other groups and the city of Philadelphia. We invite men and women from any point in the professional career to please join us during Women in Construction Week and always to promote and join our dynamic and diverse community. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sharita Glenn. Good morning, Council President Johnson, my daughter, Majority Leader Catherine Gilmore Richardson, Majority Leader Kendra Brooks, and the esteemed City Council members and the public. My name is Sharita Glenn, and I have the privilege and honor to serve with the honoree, Sonia Garrett, as the Ward Leader of the 49th Ward, the mighty 49th Ward. I stand on behalf of myself and the 49th Ward for Sonia, and thank you, Councilmember Brooks, for honoring Sonia during this stated meeting. Sonia is a woman that fights tirelessly for the women, children, and families in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. As you may not have heard as of yet, but Sonia wears a bevy of hats with different positions within the Logan Civic Association. She's the committee person for the Ward 49, Division 11, president of Nicetown CDC NAS. She's a block captain, a board member of the 8th District Neighborhood Community Advisory for the mayor, and she's the third vice president of the executive team of the 49th Ward. She definitely needs more hours in the day to fulfill all these duties. Now, those are her positions with official titles. Here are some of the positions with unofficial titles: as volunteering at Cook Middle School, organizing her Block Fall Festival in October, and assisting with the mayor's mission. On a safer note, she likes to do things to keep our neighborhood cleaner and greener. I'm going to stop now for the sake of time. Sonia also has a plethora of other official activities. In addition, she manages some multi-generational programs in the community. 803 Fresh have a song titled Boots on the Ground. This could be Sonia's theme song because she performs 803 jobs a year, and boots on the ground is an understatement for the many tasks and volunteer work that she does around the community. All she needs is a fan in her hand, and she's well on her way. Now, because I am out of time, I'm going to go down to the bottom and say, I just want to say, in conclusion, I did an acronym for Sonia with her first name. S is for sanguine, O for outstanding, N for nice, I for insight, and A for affable. Patti LaBelle in '79 had a song. It says, music, my way of life. For Sonia Garrett, serving is her way of life. Thank you for allowing me to present. Happy Lenten season, happy Ramadan, and God bless us all.
Good morning. My name is Natasha Scott Lawson, and I am here to speak in support of the resolution recognizing Women in Construction Week. I am a sheet metal worker with Local 19 of 27 years. I also have the honor of being a mentor and serving on the steering committee for Women in Non-Traditional Careers, also known as WINC. I would like to thank Council President Johnson for this opportunity to speak today, and Council Member Gilmore Richardson for recognizing this resolution. WINC is a 6-week pre-apprenticeship program that helps women in the Philadelphia area choose and succeed in industries such as construction, manufacturing, transit, and utilities. WINC appreciates the opportunity to bring more awareness of construction careers for women who now make up less than 5% of those who work with tools in construction nationally. More women work as tradeswomen than as dental hygienists or veterinarians. Yet, these high-paying and satisfying careers are not visible enough or accessible enough to all women, and especially to women of color who have faced the most workplace discrimination. That's why WINC organizes tradeswomen, contractors, unions, educators, workforce providers, and advocates to do better at recruiting and retaining more women in the construction trades. You can connect with WINC by going to our website, wincproject.org. That's wincproject.org. Thank you.
We have Jeremy Bladstein, Louis Bartholomew, Jared Johnson, and May Sterling Johnson, Damon McWhite, and Gabby Rodriguez also make their way to the podium.
Good morning, Council. I'm Jeremy Bladstein. It has been 1 year since the legendary laugh from Councilmember Phillips when he realized I was the voice behind next Philly mayor. Why have I been coming each week for the last year? Because I care deeply about this city and believe it is important for the voices of the people to be heard. And I told myself I was going to come for a year. I'm here today in support of the bike lanes bills by my Councilman Jay Young. Wow, we have come a long way from when Councilman Young was trying to get rid of bike lanes. Kudos for progress and growth. We love to see it. Last December, Mayor Parker signed the Get Out the Bike Lane bill. $125 fines downtown, $75 elsewhere. It's a good step, but I ride these streets, sometimes even looking fly, and I know it's not enough. Cars still block bike lanes, forcing cyclists like me into danger. Dr. Barbara Fried's tragic death in a bike lane shows paint isn't protection. We need concrete barriers to keep people safe. Bike lanes are vital for our city. They reduce traffic congestion, improve public health through exercise, and lower carbon emissions. And let me be clear, bike lanes don't cause gentrification. They're not about displacing anyone. They're about making our streets safer and more accessible for everyone. But with 65 traffic deaths last year, Vision Zero is underfunded while drivers ignore the rules. Fines alone won't change that. I'm not here to point fingers. I'm here to push for real progress. We need fully protected bike lanes with concrete, consistent enforcement, and funding for Vision Zero that matches its promise. This isn't just about bikes. It's about keeping our community safe and thriving. Let's make it happen, Council. And of course, we're talking about SEPTA. Kudos to Councilman O'Rourke for his hearing yesterday. Raise your hand if you wrote SEPTA in the last week, Council. Oh, look at all the people in the audience. 0 hands for another week. Disappointing, but expected at this point. Ride the ride, and thank you.
Good morning, Council President and City and members of the City Council. My name is Jared Johnson. I am a volunteer and advocate for Fifth Square. First and foremost, on behalf of Fifth Square and me, I would like to thank Councilmember Young for passing all 3 bike lane, and the Streets and Services Committee for passing all 3 bike lane bills last week. For those of you who don't know what Fifth Square is, we are an urbanist organization that deals with issues such as housing, transit, and bike lanes, Vision Zero. Last week, I gave a short testimony about adding a bike lane on the 23rd Street from Ray Street to Market Street, which is bill number 2500007, and how it would impact bike riders and commuters. Recently, if you have not heard the news, there has been a number of serious injuries and deaths from bike riders because of no installation of bike lanes. I want to question everyone in here in this room. whether they support the bike lanes or oppose it. To think about what if it was like if you had a family member, a friend, a coworker, a spouse, maybe a stranger, or other people who rode a bike. Now, think about that life without them because there was no protection of bike lanes. This is the reason why I am supporting these bills, especially Bill number 250007, and I urge the council to approve these 3 bills for final passage. It will help save lives and it will help benefit that person that's a bike rider and give them a safe path to bike and more options to travel. Especially, we have a lot of people from Fifth Square that ride bikes that are not here today, but they have advocated just as strongly as I have of supporting these bike lanes. So once again, council, I thank you for your time, and let's get these bills passed.
Damon McWhite? Good, yeah. Good morning, members of City Council. My name is Damon McWhite. I am the Director of Partnerships for Coded By in this initiative, One Philadelphia, an organization dedicated to all Philadelphians, especially our young people, ensuring that they have access to the skills, resources, and opportunities necessary to thrive in the tech industry. I'm here today in strong support of the resolution declaring March 2nd through the 8th, 2025 as Teen Tech Week in the city of Philadelphia, because investing in tech education for our youth isn't just about job readiness, it's about opportunity, empowerment, and protection in an increasingly digital world. Right now, technology is shaping every aspect of our lives, from the ways we learn to work and how we engage with the government and protect your personal information. But too many young people in Philadelphia, particularly those from historically excluded communities, lack access to meaningful tech education and career pathways. Without targeted investments like Teen Tech Week, we risk leaving behind an entire generation of talent. At One Philadelphia, we are working to build a citywide tech talent pipeline that provides Philadelphians with the opportunities from childhood through career. At Coded By, we are delivering hands-on real-world training that gives teens the skills to not only participate in tech, but also lead, innovate, and create wealth within it. Through these efforts, we are ensuring that young people have the tools to understand digital threats, navigate an online world safely, and develop solutions that protect their communities from fraud and corporate harm. This work cannot happen in silos. The city of Philadelphia has already taken critical steps, such as digital literacy initiatives and workforce development programs to protect residents and prepare them for the future, but we need to do more. Equipping our young people with the tools and resources to excel as technology broadens our individual reach is essential to the future of our city. Exposure to digital opportunities at an early age is a key factor in developing a tech workforce. We need to work together to send a clear message that Philadelphia is prepared to commit to our teens for opportunities in the challenge of the digital age. Thank you.
So we have Sterling Johnson, Gabby Rodriguez, May Lynette Green, Sherry Ann Broussard, and Vivian Miller also make their way to the podium.
Hi, Gabby Rodriguez. Good morning, council members. I'm an attorney with in the Consumer Housing Unit at Philadelphia Legal Assistance. I'm here to express my support for Councilmember Landau's resolution declaring March 2nd through the 8th as National Consumer Protection Week in the city of Philadelphia. Philadelphia Legal Assistance provides free legal assistance to low-income Philadelphians in areas of critical needs. One of the areas we focus on in particular is housing. PLA operates the Save Your Home Philly hotline in partnership with the city of Philadelphia. In 2024, the hotline answered over 7,000 phone calls. The hotline refers homeowners to HUD-certified housing counselors, provides legal information and advice, assists with brief matters such as real estate tax benefits applications. PLA also operates or represents homeowners dealing with mortgage foreclosure, tangled title, and consumer fraud. Consumer protection covers a broad range of issues. In the area of housing, homeowners facing a foreclosure or other financial issue are primary targets for unscrupulous lenders and scammers. We frequently see homeowners who are scammed out of hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars because they are told by the scammer that it would save their home. Consumer protection also isn't just about scams. We routinely see homeowners who are facing foreclosures because the mortgage company failed to follow the applicable consumer protection law. Councilmember Landau's resolution will raise awareness about consumer rights and the importance of protecting consumers against unscrupulous actors and corporate misconduct. Thank you again for your time and consideration as you vote on the resolution declaring March the 2nd through the 8th as National Consumer Protection Week in Philadelphia. Thank you.
I'm Kate Perez, and despite costing taxpayers over $60 million in misconduct payouts in just 2 years, the highest department budget is still the PPD. High schoolers are begging for after-school programs while we discuss buying cops more drones, and we're still allowing them to trade tactics with an occupation that's preventing all humanitarian aid from entering the Gaza Strip since Sunday. As a city that worries about violence, we should be taking advice from studies like the 100 Shooting Review Committee that found that investing into communities prevents violence and offers evidence-based strategies like improving infrastructure. SEPTA needs about $51 million for operation and improvements. This is something our state could have easily sponsored for its constituents instead of the $56 million in condition-free war bonds that were used to buy things like the 1,000-pound bombs Trump just bypassed Congress to sell for the second time. As this bill revises budget amounts, I ask that we lower the police budget and redistribute the funds into violence prevention programs, like repairing old homes, prevent violence, stop overfunding the cops, and stop partnering our city with apartheid states. We should be pressuring Congress to support the joint resolutions of disapproval and block the 10,000 artillery shells to Israel and call for a complete arms embargo. Free Palestine.
Good morning, Council President Johnson and members of Council. My name is Louis Bartholomew, and I'm here to speak in favor of the 3 bike lane bills introduced by Councilmember Young. I regularly bike to Temple and Fairmount from my home in Wash West to visit friends, but last week my girlfriend and I were biking together to and from one of my friends' homes, and halfway through the bike ride, she told me she wasn't comfortable and wanted to walk the rest of the way. Cars were rushing past us constantly, and since there weren't any protected bike lanes, they passed extremely close. My girlfriend is one example among many of Philadelphians who want the option to travel by bike, which is an extremely efficient and quick way to get around, especially in and around Center City. So many people who would otherwise bike instead choose to drive, further clogging up our streets, and others simply don't make the trip they wanted to, especially if they don't have access to a car or the area isn't well served by SEPTA. Right now, most of the people who bike are the ones who are extremely confident navigating our dangerous streets by bike, a tiny proportion of our population. By gradually increasing our bike network in this way, as Councilmember Young has done, we make it possible for other people to have the option to get around safely by bike, folks who are older as well as younger kids, for example. Thank you again to Councilmember Young for his leadership on this issue. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, sure. Just a little over, yeah. Hello, my name is Sterling Johnson, and I am testifying in support of a resolution condemning the unconstitutional actions taken by the Department of Government Efficiency to dismantle the federal government. I just want to say that I would just like the city to address its role in the region and reframe a lot of what its role in the state is, also with the collar counties, due to them having a lot of surplus that often puts Philadelphia in the space of having to defend itself. I've just been doing a lot of housing advocacy, doing harm reduction advocacy for some time, and in general, especially at some of the state housing meetings, there has been this idea that Philadelphia takes up a lot of resources, it also can't administer itself, and I just find it horribly racist, and there's a lot of focus on Kensington, which really puts us at the space of having to defend ourselves, when I think we're surrounded by some of the richest counties in the state, in the country, honestly. We're not poor, there are a lot of people in the region, there's a lot of uneven development, but generally we have an abundance of resources in this space. I administer a land trust in the city, so I'm mostly concerned about long-term housing. For me, the long-term housing has to be done at the housing authority. That's the only place that has housing that doesn't end, so they have to be involved in all of the discussions. If they're not there, then I don't know what we're talking about. All that stuff ends. The work that I've done to get people into rapid rehousing, which is a year or two, most of those people are back on the street. So it doesn't really matter for that. So when we're talking about actual solutions, it has to be about long-term housing. I like to, and I think, this is a point that I feel really afraid for Medicaid, for SNAP, for all the people that are gonna be hurt. I know we had disagreements about how we're doing this, but it's really gonna be bad, and I'm really afraid. So I just want us to really, honestly hold even the state and the other counties accountable for not having those, for when people are in the city, send them a bill. I don't know, I'm just talking off the cuff, I'm send them a bill. They're here, they get resources from our city, they raise our taxes on some of our elders, and instead of just taking them in, send them a bill. We know they have detainers in other counties. It's generally, they put it on us. They're the richest counties in the country, in the state. Philadelphia is doing our job. We are doing our job, and we care about people. But send them a bill.
We have Lynette Green, Sherry Ann Broussard, Vivian Miller. May Ricky Pyatt, Brian Elmore, and Benjamin Hoover also make their way to the podium.
Hi, my name is Christian Green, representing my aunt Sonia. I'm scared. My name is Christian Green. I'm representing my aunt Sonia Garrett, and I wanted to say my aunt is a wonderful woman. She
She's a wonderful woman. I'm sorry.
You want to hold the mic or should I put it
I can
up?
hold the mic. There you go. Take this, Christian. Good morning, everybody. My name is Lynette Green, and I am speaking on the behalf of my sister, Sonia Garrett. Sonia, I think you should stand so that people can know who you are. Sonia asked me if I would speak this morning, and I'm just as outgoing as she is, but it's just something about standing in front of people, and I couldn't turn down the opportunity to oblige her in this. And this is my son, Christian Green. He says he's normally not nervous, and I know we have 2 minutes, and he was supposed to be 30 seconds of the 2 minutes. Now, Sharita Glenn spoke earlier, and she wanted me to add a few things that she forgot to mention about Sonia. She stated, not to mention, she is a caregiver to her mother, which is my mom right here, a supportive mother to her 2 adult children, and a fun, loving sister, auntie, cousin, and neighbor. I am humbled that she asked all of us to speak on her behalf. Now, this is what I wanted to say about Sonia. My sister Sonia is a remarkable woman. I don't know where she gets the energy from. She knows every single person in Logan. I can be on the phone with my sister and she'll say, hold on a minute. She talks to every single person. Sonia knows every neighbor, and those people stop to talk to Sonia. She's out at 6 a.m. sweeping. I said, Sonia, just use a leaf blower. Why are you taking all the time to sweep? I'm sorry. Why are you taking the time to sweep? But she gets out, she keeps the neighborhood clean. We've been in Logan since 1972, and Sonia is just the epitome of what a neighbor, what a citizen should be. She upholds the morals and the values in her role, and Sonia has not always walked in that role. And I'm so glad that she has evolved to become the woman that she has become today, because she used to be a lot more reserved, and she is just a tough act to follow. I don't even know what was said about her even begins to
explain what a phenomenal woman you are, Sonia. And I am so graced to be in your presence. And when I have difficult situations, I always say, what would Sonia say? She is just so wonderful with people. I mean, she's so smooth in her approach, and she can get people talking, and I deeply admire her.
Actually, the time is up.
My time is up.
So we're
Okay.
gonna let Vivian speak.
Thank you.
We have Sherry Ann Broussard, Vivian Miller, Ricky Pyatt, Brian Elmore, May Benjamin Hover, Ernest Wiley Jenkins, David Alexander Jenkins, and Cameron O'Grady also make their way to the podium.
My name is Vivian. I'm Sonia Garrett's mother. And Sonia Garrett was supposed to be the block captain, but she's more than a block captain. She's, she's always working for the best of the community and for the block. And people have really learned to understand that she is just putting love on them and watching over the place so that we can have a place of happiness and not fearness and cleanliness. She's just Miss Block Captain of the century to us. Thank you.
She didn't use up all her.
Good morning, members of council. My name is Brian Elmore. I'm a resident of Fairmount, and I'm here in support of Bill 250005, which would create a parking protected bike lane at 22nd and Spring Garden. The bill was introduced by Councilmember Young. I just want to thank Councilmember Young for his leadership on this bill. I regularly bike, walk, and drive on 22nd Street, and this project is sorely needed in our community. I've been organizing around this project for a little over 2 years now, and I would call myself an activist, but during the course of canvassing and talking to neighbors about this project, it became apparent to me that there were a lot of folks across the city, particularly parents of young children, that don't have the time to show up to RCO meetings, to show up to meetings like this, to testify in support of pedestrian and bike projects, but there is an overwhelming amount of support out there, which we demonstrated through letters of support from across our community, from schools, parks, and RCOs. So I would encourage members of council, specifically district council members, to follow the leadership of Councilmember Young and listen to your constituents who may not have the time or the privilege to show up to events like this and express their opinion. And I want to thank council for their leadership more broadly on Vision Zero during this budget cycle as well. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Benjamin Hover, legislative representative of the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers. On behalf of President Arthur Steinberg and the 14,000 members of the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers, and as a 25-year member of the PFT and veteran educator, and also as a proud product of public institutions and public schools, I rise in support of Resolution 250130 introduced by Councilmember Brooks, and also the resolution introduced by Councilmember Thomas today, opposing the unconstitutional acts of DOJ to dismantle our institutions, and also to oppose the dismantling and condemn the dismantling of our Department of Public Education. While I'm here talking, I just want everybody to know that the PFT walks the walk as well as talks the talk. On March 4th, thousands of teachers in Philadelphia at over 150 schools handed out flyers and walked with signs that declared in one unified voice, "Stop the attacks on public education. Protect our kids." We walk the walk and talk the talk because we know how important education is for our students and their families. We know this because of our own experiences. And so many of you here joined us because I think you know from your own experiences as students as some of you employees in the school district of Philadelphia at one point, and as now parents, how important our public schools are to Philadelphia. So we, PFT, thank you, all the members who came, to take the time to stand with us in body and spirit on March 4th. Thank you to all the council members and state representatives who spoke at Widener Memorial. And I want to thank you again because of the power of what you know. I think you all joined us, and I've heard from so many of you as graduates of Frankfurt, Girls, King, West, Southern, Overbrook, and all the other many, I don't want to forget Girls, and Central, all the other many schools in Philadelphia, how important our schools are. Now, I think it's important to all of us that we know what is at stake. We're facing cuts for 26 million vulnerable kids in every school district across the nation, 7.5 million students with disabilities, 15% of students in every community. 10 million students from working class families could lose Pell Grants or subsidized loans, increasing college costs for working class families. And I'm going to ask everybody here, I understand, all educators, elected officials, to please, I have flyers here for you, if they could, the Sergeant of Arms could please distribute it, and also anybody here to please contact your legislators to end this unfathomable attack on our kids.
We have Ernest Wiley, David Alexander Jenkins, Cameron O'Grady, Maylin Landis, Marvin Robinson, and Phil Friedman also make their way to the podium.
Good morning, my name is Ernest Wiley. Today I'm speaking in the shoes of EMT Wiley, the emergency money technician. I have rapid response protocols to protect the citizens of Philadelphia and in all cities throughout the United States from Trump's current attack on the Social Security Administration. I invented a tri-currency financial system. I will use the day rate, which is part of the new budget management protocols, to protect the senior citizens from financial misery and starvation of food, lights, water, and gas. All of the city budgets will be balanced and there will be zero deficits once it's set up. If the federal government is out of service, we still have the city revenue collection system and the state revenue collection system functioning properly. I have to use the revenue collection systems, the tax preparers, and the banks to rescue the senior citizens from the damages to the Social Security accounts at the federal level. Ever since Trump's first term, I have never called him an enemy. I called him crazy. Donald J. Trump is aware that he's secretly attempting a genocide on American citizens, specifically the Democrats. He withdrew from the United Nations and the World Health Organization. The United Nations has cases on genocide, and the World Health Organization reports to the United Nations the deaths that occur in all countries. By removing America from the World Health Organization, it allows him to hide the deaths from the world and Americans. Messages for all migrants. I have no worries about you, your family, or your loved ones because I will be removing the financial chaos and inflation from your home country. And very soon you will have a home country to call home sweet home. Migrating to the United States is not the way, the truth, or the light because it's not possible for 8 billion people on earth to move here. By next year, your country will be fixed, so hang in there and keep your heads up. You may feel unwanted and abandoned, but always remember, E.J. Wiley, the immigrant that grew up in America, loves you. Thank you.
Thank you. You have 2 minutes. State your name for the record.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members, guests of the Chamber, David Alexander Jenkins. I rise in favor of the resolution laid before us by Councilwoman Brooks, which condemns the unconstitutional actions of the Department of the Government Efficiency to dismantle the federal government. Our forefathers warned us in earnest and most precisely against this kind of overreach. James Madison, whom we remember as the founder of our Constitution, wrote in Federalist Number 47 that the accumulation of powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary in the same hands may justly be pronounced as the very definition of tyranny. And yet, here we stand, watching the seizure and control of the federal agencies of the people whilst bypassing their elected representatives and thusly their will. This is not efficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is at best oligarchy. It is the erosion of democracy under the guise of reform, the taking away of institutions that protect working families while ensuring its poorly dressed, MAGA baseball cap-wearing, unelected South African creator continues to take taxpayer-funded contracts representing billions of dollars while bankrupting the American people. I repeat, this is neither efficient nor is it lawful. In 1796, George Washington, in his farewell address, after refusing the powers of a king no less than 3 times, warned us against the rise of powerful fractions that would subvert the government to serve private interests. Today, we heed that warning, justly condemning with wrath and indignation the unconstitutional authority and systems whereby one man dictates the fate of our civil servants and public institutions. The resolution is written not just in defense of our city, brothers and sisters, but as a battle cry for the very people of America to defend of, by, for the people. Let history remember this day when democracy was under attack, that Philadelphia, where this more perfect union was born, stood firm in her defense.
Thank you.
Hello, City Council. My name is Cameron O'Grady, and I'm here to support each of the 3 ordinances regarding bike lanes on various streets today. I know there's already been a lot of previous comments about this bill, so I will try to be brief and avoid repeating previous points. Philadelphia has made lots of progress when it comes to planning and building our bicycle network. However, there is still more to be done, including various safety measures, which I know this city has done by addressing with Vision Zero. I live in West Philly and have personally seen the effects of how improvements to bike lanes increase usage. 48th Street, south of Market, has become a major bike corridor after the improvements last year. Not only has this change made biking safer, but it has increased bike usage along the route, subsequently reducing the car usage along that route and thus traffic along that route. Ordinances like these, however small, are meaningful, and each block of road expanded for bike lanes is one more block that makes biking in Philadelphia possible and encourages more people to do so. I will also add that it is especially important that we take action to improve in matters that we as a city control ourselves, especially when considering the state of our federal government. There's a quote from the movie Field of Dreams that concisely summarizes my view on bike lanes. Build it and they will come. Thank you.
We have Lynn Landis, Marvin Robinson, Phil Friedman, Heath Myers, and Lillian Hentz also make their way to the podium.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Lynn Landis of SafeStreetsPhilly.org. I oppose resolutions 250130, which accuses the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE if you will, of dismantling the federal government. I also oppose resolution 250171, which supports legal representation for illegal immigrants. Apparently, Democrat council members don't mind dismantling our immigration laws through their illegal sanctuary city policies, but they really don't like it when Elon Musk and his band of young techies dismantle a massive amount of federal waste, fraud, and abuse, much of which has enriched countless Democrats and their associates in the NGO and nonprofit community. It's shocking and at the same time revealing that Democrats want to send endless billions to defend Ukraine's borders, but not our own. It's past time for sanctuary city public officials to be indicted for aiding and abetting illegal immigrants. It's past time for government accountability at both the federal and local level. And it's way past time for a change in political policy, if not leadership, in Philadelphia. Thank you.
First of all, I want to give honor to my Lord and Savior. Thank each and every one for this opportunity. Thank you, the councilors, for being here. I just wanted to say this about immigration. I don't have nothing against them, but I just think we as Americans that lives here should have just as great as opportunity as them. And I know for me being here for 58 years, when we do allow immigration comes amongst our communities, in our village, they take over, and then that leaves us with nothing. And I know that for a fact, because I live in West Philadelphia, and the first immigration ever came in my neighborhood was Koreans. And I saw that happen, then the other. Now, I'm not here for tick for tack, but I'm America. My mother raised me here. And I work hard for my people. And it's very difficult for me to get the things that they are getting, that they get freely. Only thing I'm saying, believe it or not, this is what I love about the laws of America. Y'all all get mad at Donald Trump, but Donald Trump told everybody in America what he's going to do before he got in office. Told everybody, and he's doing it. So you can't get mad with somebody that didn't lie, because he didn't lie. He did not lie. He told the truth what he's going to do. But this is what I'd like for us to do. Stop letting them come in our country illegal and make sure they come here, due process. Because if it was me, I had to do due process. So I'm not knocking this, I'm not knocking that, but due process is America's way. And that goes for every human being. Thank you. I don't care about all that.
You have 2 minutes now. State your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is Lillian English Hintz, and I am the advisor for the 49th Ward. And unfortunately, what they signed me up to talk about is not what I came here to talk about. What I came here to talk about is Sonia Garrett. And so I'm going to take this opportunity to do that, Madam Chairman. And I'd like to recognize my councilperson, the best in the world, Cindy Bass, from the 8th Councilmatic District. And I am so grateful for this new council because you all are doing the work. And that is one of the other reasons that I'm here. But Sonia Garrett, I was the chairman of the 49th Ward for 20 years, and I moved out. So our new ward leader made me the advisor for this 49th Ward that I love. As a committee person, I was told that a committee person is supposed to know their division. And our judge on one terrible moment had passed away at our division. And I didn't know what to do. We didn't have an Omar Sabir downtown that we could call at that time. So I had to jump into action. And that action was at 6 o'clock in the morning to go knock on Sonia Garrett's door. And I didn't ask her, I told her, come, I need your help. She didn't hesitate. She said she didn't know what she was doing, and I said, neither do I, but we're gonna do it. So we put together a whole team at our division that day to work on the polls. And you wouldn't know that Sonia didn't know what she was doing because she's been doing it ever since. Thank you.
May we have Stan Ellenberg, Kate Parker, Obona Hagans, Brennan Marag, and William Blocker also make their way to the podium.
Good morning, Council. Thank you for letting me comment on Bill 250005 today. My name is Heath, and I support the addition of a bicycle lane on that North 22nd Street. And I believe the city could, I'm sorry. I believe the city could present an even better proposal that retains the existing 2 vehicular lanes without the need for legislation removing a travel lane. North 22nd Street plays a vital role in accommodating the traffic needs of local residents and should be maintained as 2 lanes from Market Street to Poplar Street. The project's absence of an interceptor commuter survey points to an oversight in addressing the needs of motorists, emergency services, and loading zones. Reducing lanes on the primary artery disproportionately impacts the community by hindering daily travel, emergency access, and essential services. Furthermore, the plan neglects traffic-like improvements such as sensors, preemptors, and computer control, which have proven effective in suburban areas for enhancing traffic flow and reducing emissions. I appreciate the opportunity to share these concerns and urge you not to vote for the removal of a traffic lane to accommodate a bike lane on this primary artery. Instead, the city can simply add a bike lane within the existing roadway without removing the traffic lane, maintain the corridor's essential function for daily commuters and emergency services. And on a personal note, I rely on North 22nd Street when transporting a family member for routine medical care. My previous route is now congested after 1 lane was removed to add a bicycle lane, which caused me to wait through multiple light cycles at each intersection for several blocks. Thank you very much.
Good morning, council members. My name is Stanley Ellenberg.
I'm an immigration attorney for 35 years. My office is across the street. I'm also an 8th Ward council member. I'm here to support bill number 250-171 by Councilmember Ahmad. I'd like to thank Councilmember for proposing this bill. I think it's very important to show the city's support for residents of their community. We all know the fear and confusion in the immigrant community coming from Washington today. And I think it's important for us to show support of those members of our city who are in that situation. We're all we're all immigrants in this city. Everybody came from somebody else, our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents. So I think it's important to support these people. They work hard, they pay taxes, they educate their children. And I would ask that council listen to the opening prayer from the pastor, that everybody is the same under the eyes of God, and everybody is entitled to equal rights under the law. Thank you.
We have Kate Parker, Abona Hagins, Brennan Marag, and William Blocker.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Kate Parker. I'm the Director of Policy at the Defender Association of Philadelphia. Chief Defender Hudson's out of state today, but she asked me to offer public comment to thank you all for your leadership in protecting the rights of Philadelphia's immigrant communities. From Councilmember Lozada's work to expand legal resources, to Councilmember Landau's work to hold a hearing on our city's preparedness, to Councilmember Ahmad's introduction of Resolution 250171, your efforts are critical to keep the spotlight on this issue. 65% of people who were processed by the Philadelphia Immigration Court since October 2019 had no legal representation at all. But with your support, we hope to change that. Our office already works closely with HIAS and the Nationality Services Center, immigration experts here in the city of Philadelphia, because we represent people who aren't U.S. citizens as they navigate the criminal justice process. But with city funding, we aim to create an immigration defense unit in our office, which will provide direct representation to Philadelphians who are at risk for deportation and detention. We know this legal representation matters. 39% of PAFUP clients whose cases were completed were able to remain with their families here in the United States. That's compared to 19% of unrepresented people. This is particularly important for the maintenance of the integrity of the family, because we know that there's over 60,000 U.S. citizen children living in Pennsylvania who reside with at least one parent who is undocumented. Representation also ensures that people with legitimate defenses are able to raise them, people like claiming asylum. And so we thank you for your leadership on this issue and recognizing that legal representation isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for people navigating this system.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is William Blocker, and I'd like to thank City Council for giving me an opportunity to speak on behalf of my uncle, James Blocker. And I'd also like to thank Councilman Jeffrey Young for pushing the resolution to have a street name changed to my uncle's name. And if there was ever a man that was deserving of such an honor, it would be my uncle, James Blocker. And it's not just because he's been an outstanding businessman in our community for 50, 60 years. But the amount of opportunity and leadership and guidance that he's provided to young black men in our community is just, I can't even speak on it. I can't even speak. He's been a great leader for our community. He's provided numerous services for the old and the young in our community, and he's also raised up myself, his nephew, his sons, Greg and Kevin, and numerous young black men from our community to go on to be valuable members of our society. So if anybody's deserving of this honor, it would be my uncle, James Blocker.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Council. First, I want to thank the Councilman Jeffrey Young, for introducing this legislation here. My name is Keith Harris, Ward Leader, 28th Ward, and State Representative. What can we say about Mr. Blocker? Everything, actually. This is a fourth-generation business. This is, sometimes black businesses, they go out of existence after the second generation. Mr. Blocker has survived the crack epidemic. Prior to that, the gang war era, he survived all of that, and he's still in business. The integrity he brings to our community, the help, the advocacy they bring in the community. So I thank the councilman, and I want to thank the community for even, for us asking to have this done. Mr. Blocker and his sons, Greg and Kevin, is to be complimented on the ethics they bring to the Strawberry Mansion auto repair shop. Okay, so they expanded from one shop that was on 30th and Dolphin Street, and they expanded up the street to 31st Street. So there's two locations that both brothers, one operates one and other operates the other. So we want to thank this family, and we want to honor them by doing a name change at Dolphin Street between 29th and Dolphin and I believe 31st and Dolphin to James Blocker Way, and also he's a veteran. So we want to thank Councilman and thank this council.
My name is Billy Thompson, and I am also a resident of the Strawberry Mansion. And I'd like to thank the council president, Councilman Jones and Bass, and all you guys, y'all new guys. And thank y'all guys for Councilman Young. Very much Councilman Young. We've been doing this for years that we've been working on this. I'm a person that grew up and born and raised at the Strawberry Mansion, and I grew up in the Bass side, and now the Lord brought me on another side, the pastor side. Now I'm Billy Thompson. But what stood the same was Mr. Blocker. He came in, he's an Army veteran. He came and started a business. He turned it over to his son. Now the other son went a block up the street. Now they own the whole block. And there's many people in our neighborhood, I'm 67, that still owe him for a tune-up when Mr. Blocker opened up the shop. That's the kind of guy he is. So we just want to thank Councilman Young for letting us have our own hero in Strawberry Mansion, and Councilman President Johnson and the rest of you guys. We beg you guys, we begging you, please give us this sign that we can have something in our neighborhood that we grew up in. We are homeowners. All of us here homeowners. And the ones that I got a brother that's 68, 78 from Ogontz. He bring his car always down there to get a tune-up because he been born and raised. My dad did it. I did it. My son bring their cars to him, to the same shop. And Mr. Blocker had one logo. I can fix everything but broken hearts. Amen. So y'all bless us with that sign, and we be ever so grateful. And we let our neighborhood know how this happened. We could have had a neighborhood down there, but some of them, they couldn't come down and all that. But when y'all bless us and we have an honor, and we bring out our hamburgers, they all gonna come, and we're gonna tell them what y'all did for us. Amen. Amen.
We have Abona Hagans and then Brendan Morag.
Hi, good morning. My name is Brennan Mirage, hard last name, so totally understand. I'm a resident of Graduate Hospital, speaking in support of Councilmember Young's bike lane bills. Wanted to thank the council and the council president Johnson for considering them in the interest of not repeating testimony about the safety and the many benefits that a bike lane brings. I will just say that I moved to Philadelphia recently, and part of the reason that I did so was because of the abundance of ways to get around the city, whether it be SEPTA, whether it be bike lanes, whether it be Indigo, and I am heartened by the council's willingness and ability to continue to expand those options for people like myself who don't own a car or choose not to drive around the city. So just wanted to say thank you all for considering the bill. Hope they go through the final passage. And I look forward to hopefully seeing more residents of the city use these amenities and attracting more people like myself to the city through expanding these critical pieces of infrastructure. So thank you so much.
I have to say, you have 2 minutes, state your name for the record. Adjust the mic to who you want.
Obona Hagins, fourth generation chattel slavery survivor. Today, this body considers Bill number 250171, a resolution recognizing the importance of legal representation in protecting the rights of immigrants when interacting with ICE. Legal representation is indeed critical when individuals face government action. However, I must ask, where is the legal representation for American freedmen who have suffered systematic violations of their rights for generations? Where is the legal infrastructure to address the devaluation of our homes, the economic discrimination we endure, and the failure of counsel to define the badges, vestiges, and incidents of slavery as required under the 13th Amendment? We are cognizant of the fact that well over 700,000 citizens in Philadelphia have the liberty interest in having this office. We are cognizant that the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment mandates that this council provide an office that serves the interest of the citizens who descended from persons emancipated from slavery and are recognized in this city by the holiday Juneteenth. We are cognizant that the ignorance of the law is no excuse. When the Philadelphia Reparations Coalition for American Freedmen petitioned this body for creation of an office, we're not asking for a favor. The Honorable Charles Sumner, author of the 13th Amendment and Freedmen's Bureau, once said, we need a Freedmen's Bureau not because these people are Negroes, but because they are men who have been generations despoiled by their rights. Councilman O'Rourke has shut his doors of his office to my organization because I exercise my free speech on illegal immigration, labeling me a xenophobe. Yet, it is this very council that refuses to acknowledge the American freedmen, citizens whose ancestors built this nation, are still without legal protections. If this council truly believes in legal representation as a fundamental right, then let us extend that right to the American freedmen, starting with the establishment of the Office of Freedmen Affairs. I call on Council President to cite Council Member O'Rourke for breach of office, breach of oath, and malpractice. Obona Hagins, over and out.
Thank you.
There are no more names for public comment.
We will now consider today's bill on the consent agenda. I will ask the clerk to read the titles of all the bills on the consent agenda. After each title is read, any member may object to the inclusion of the bill on the consent agenda, bill or bills on the consent agenda. Upon such an objection and without debate, the bill will be immediately removed from the consent agenda and placed on our regular second reading and final passage calendars. The clerk will now read the titles of the bills on the consent agenda.
Bill number 241081, an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 229 South 45th Street, Philadelphia, PA 19104. Bill number 241083, an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 1148 through 50 South 11th Street, Philadelphia, PA 19147, under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 241107, an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of North 18th Street between Wood Street and Callahill Street, Vine Street between North 18th Street and North 19th Street, Callahill Street between North 18th Street and North 19th Street, North 17th Street between Callahill Street and Wood Street, Thompson Street between North 18th Street and North 17th Street, Harold Street between North 22nd Street and North 23rd Street. Bill number 250002, an ordinance authorizing various encroachments in the vicinity of 546 South 45th Street, Philadelphia, PA 19104, under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250004, an ordinance amending an ordinance, Bill number 230577, approved November 13th, 2023, entitled Granting Permission to Winfield Overbrook Uruv Association in order to demarcate the boundaries of a Winfield Overbrook Uruv district to construct and maintain a clear nylon cord and other ancillary facilities, including a maximum of 100 poles and 45 pieces of plexiglass along, over, and in certain public rights-of-way in city streets, and or to attach such demarcation facilities to existing facilities owned by other entities authorized by other city ordinances, subject to such owner's consent, all under certain terms and conditions, by extending the period for compliance with the terms and conditions stated herein. Bill number 250005, an ordinance amending Chapter 12-701 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes to authorize a bicycle lane on North 22nd Street from Spring Garden Street to Green Street and remove one travel lane on North 22nd Street within the same limits, all under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250006, an ordinance amending Chapter 12-701 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes to authorize a bicycle lane on North 13th Street from Cecil B. Moore Avenue to Diamond Street, all under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250007, an ordinance amending Chapter 12-701 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Designation of Bicycle Lanes to authorize a bicycle lane on North 23rd Street between Ray Street and Market Street under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250008, an ordinance authorizing the vacating of Clarion Street from Addison Street to its terminus northwardly therefrom, and reserving and plotting upon City Plan 308 of a right-of-way for sewage and drainage purposes and water main purposes within the lines of said Clarion Street, being vacated and authorizing acceptance of the grant to the city of said right-of-way under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250009, an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 542 Christian Street, Philadelphia, PA 19147, under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250046, an ordinance authorizing the opening of a right-of-way to public on land near the intersection of the southeasterly side of Bath Street and the southwesterly side of Victoria Streets, all being land owned by the city. Bill number 250047, an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 1525 South 9th Street, Philadelphia, PA 19147, under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250048, an ordinance authorizing encroachments in the nature of a sidewalk cafe in the vicinity of 2049 East Haggard Street, Philadelphia, PA 19125, under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250049, an ordinance authorizing various encroachments in the vicinity of 1625 South 2nd Street, Philadelphia, PA 19148, under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 250069, an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Wildley Street between Columbia Avenue and Earl Street, Dutton Street between Wildley Street and Girard Avenue, Earl Street between Girard Avenue and Wildley Street, South 7th Street between Johnston Street and Bigler Street. And Bill number 250070, an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of York Street between Almond Street and Mercer Street, Clarion Street between Dickinson Street and Tasker Street, Ellsworth Street between South 7th Street and South 8th Street, Annan Street between Marshall Street and South 7th Street, Ellsworth Street between Passyunk Avenue and South 9th Street, Pierce Street between South 12th Street and South 11th Street, McClellan Street between South 9th Street and South 10th Street, Jackson Street between South 5th Street and South 6th Street, Cross Street between South 5th Street and South 4th Street, South 5th Street between Morris Street and Tasker Street.
These bills having been read on 2 different days, the question for each bill now is, shall the bill pass finally? Well, the clerk shall call the roll, and upon being called, each council member shall vote aye on each of the bills, nay on each of the bills, or indicate those bills for which the member is voting aye and those bills for which the member is voting nay. The clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Phillips.
Aye on all.
Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
Aye on all bills.
Councilmember Gautier.
Aye on all bills.
Councilmember Jones. Councilmember Landau.
Aye on all bills.
Councilmember Losada.
Aye on all bills.
Councilmember Young. Councilmember Brooks. Councilmember Harity.
Aye on all bills.
Councilmember O'Rourke.
Aye on all bills.
Councilmember Driscoll.
Aye on all bills.
Councilmember O'Neill was aye. Councilmember Squilla.
Aye on all bills.
Councilmember Bass.
Bills.
Councilmember Ahmad.
Aye on all bills.
And Council President Johnson.
Aye on all bills. A majority of all the members having voted in the affirmative for each of the bills on the consent agenda are passed. We will now consider the bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passage calendars. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250130?
A resolution condemning the unconstitutional actions taken by the Department of Government Efficiency to dismantle the federal government.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Brooks for a motion regarding resolution number 250130.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution number 250130 be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250157?
A resolution renaming the 2000 block of North 59th Street Will Smith Way to honor and celebrate the impactful career and legacy of Will Smith, a West Philadelphia native.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Jones from Winfield, West Philadelphia, born and raised, for a motion regarding resolution number 250157, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for its adoption.
It has been moved and properly seconded. The resolution number 250157 be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries, and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250163?
A resolution also naming the 2900 block of Dolphin Street as James Blocker Way.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Jeffrey J. Young for a motion regarding resolution number 250163.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to honor our local heroes, and I move for their adoption of this resolution.
Thank you very much. It has been moved and properly seconded. The resolution number 250163 be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries, and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250165?
A resolution denouncing Senator Rand Paul's National Right to Work Act as detrimental to labor as it undermines workers' collective bargaining rights, weakens union power, and threatens worker protections.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Jim Harity for a motion regarding resolution number 250165.
Council President, I move for the immediate adoption.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution number 250165 be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250167?
A resolution recognizing inadequate heating standards in rental housing across Philadelphia and emphasizing the need to efficiently and comprehensively address heating issues throughout the city.
The chair recognizes Councilmember O'Rourke for a motion regarding resolution number 250167.
Council President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that resolution number 250167 be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250171?
A resolution recognizing the critical importance of legal representation in protecting the rights of immigrants when interacting with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and encouraging all immigrant-serving organizations to promote legal resources.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmad for a motion regarding resolution number 250171.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that resolution number 250171 be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of resolution number 250071?
An ordinance to amend Bill Number 240182, approved June 14, 2024, entitled, "An Ordinance to Adopt a Capital Program for the 6 fiscal years, 2025 through 2030 inclusive, by revising various appropriation amounts and totals to conform to amendments to the FY 2025 Capital Budget Ordinance, all under certain terms and conditions."
This bill having been read on 2 different days, the question now is, shall the bill pass finally? Will the chief clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Phillips.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilmember Gautier.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas.
Aye, and I would also like to be recognized as aye on all bills and resolutions that I might have missed. Thank you.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Councilmember Landau.
Aye.
Councilmember Losada.
Aye.
Councilmember Young.
Aye.
Councilmember Brooks.
Aye.
Councilmember Harity.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Rourke. Councilmember Driscoll.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Neill was aye. Councilmember Squilla.
Aye.
Councilmember Bass.
Aye.
Councilmember Ahmad.
Aye.
And Council President Johnson.
Aye, the ayes are 17, the nays are 0. Majority of all members having voted in the affirmative, the bill passes. I want to take a moment to recognize Councilmember Gilmore Richardson. You want to be recorded as voting aye on all bills and resolutions when you stepped up for a second?
Surely, Council President. Thank you.
You're welcome. Will the clerk please read the title of Bill Number 250072?
An ordinance authorizing transfers and appropriations for fiscal year 2025 from the Grants Revenue Fund, certain or all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions, to the General Fund, certain or all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions, and the Transportation Fund, certain or all city offices, departments, boards, and commissions.
This bill having been read on 2 different days, the question now is, shall the bill pass finally? Will the chief clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Phillips.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilmember Gautier.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas.
Aye.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Councilmember Landau.
Aye.
Councilmember Losada.
Aye.
Councilmember Young.
Aye.
Councilmember Brooks.
Aye.
Councilmember Harity.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Rourke.
Aye.
Councilmember Driscoll.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Neill was aye. Councilmember Squilla.
Aye.
Councilmember Bass.
Aye.
Councilmember Ahmad.
Aye.
And Council President Johnson.
Aye. The ayes are 17, the nays are 0. Majority of all members having voted in the affirmative, the bill passes. Will the chief clerk please read the title of Bill Number 250073?
An ordinance to amend Bill Number 240181, approved June 14, 2024, entitled An Ordinance to Adopt a Fiscal 2025 Capital Budget by revising various appropriation amounts and totals, all under certain terms and conditions.
This bill having been read on 2 different days, the question now is, shall the bill pass finally? Will the chief clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Phillips.
Aye.
Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
Aye.
Councilmember Gautier.
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas.
Aye.
Councilmember Jones.
Aye.
Councilmember Landau.
Aye.
Councilmember Losada.
Aye.
Councilmember Young.
Aye.
Councilmember Brooks.
Aye.
Councilmember Harity.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Rourke.
Aye.
Councilmember Driscoll.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Neill was aye. Councilmember Squilla.
Aye.
Councilmember Bass.
Aye.
Councilmember Ahmad.
Aye.
And Council President Johnson.
Aye. The ayes are 17, the nays are 0. Majority of all members having voted in the affirmative, the bill passes. Will the chief clerk please read any additional resolutions on today's calendar?
A privileged resolution recognizing March 2024 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month and promoting the public awareness of the risk of colon cancer, introduced by Councilmember Phillips.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Phillips for a motion on the resolution.
In conjunction with Councilmember Kesley Lozada, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution welcoming, recognizing, and commending Morehouse College and the Get on the Bus initiative for their dedication to mentorship, leadership, and community empowerment in Philadelphia, introduced by Councilmember Phillips.
The chair recognizes the Morehouse man, Councilmember Phillips, for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution honoring the 50th anniversary of Adjournment, the largest African-American street festival in the United States, and its impact on African and African-American heritage, culture, and community, introduced by Councilmember Gilmore Richardson on behalf of Council President Johnson.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Council President. On your behalf, I move the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution recognizing March 2nd through the 8th, 2025, during Women's History Month as Women in Construction WIC Week in the city of Philadelphia. Introduced by Councilmember Gilmore Richardson.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Gilmore Richardson for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. On behalf of all the women in construction, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution recognizing the Pennsylvania Municipal League, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's oldest municipal association, and one of 5 of the oldest in the nation, as it celebrates its 125th anniversary, introduced by Councilmember Thomas.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Thomas for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. In collaboration with Councilmember Brian O'Neill, we move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution honoring and recognizing the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Inc., Pennsylvania Chapter, NC 100 BWPA, on their annual legislative day and for their dedication to advancing gender and racial equity and empowering Black women during Women's History Month, introduced by Councilmember Jones.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Jones for a motion on the resolution.
On behalf of all enlightened men, I move for the adoption.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution authorizing the Committee on Education to investigate federal DEI program rollbacks and their effects on Philadelphia's tax-exempt higher education institutions, introduced by Councilmember Jones.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Jones for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you again, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution honoring and congratulating Coleman Domingo for his 2nd Oscar nomination for the Best Actor in a Leading Role Award at the 97th Academy Awards for his role as John Divine G. Whitfield in the film Sing Sing, introduced by Councilmember Landau.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Landau for a motion on the resolution.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the chief clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution declaring March 2nd through the 8th, 2025 as Teen Tech Week in the city of Philadelphia and recognizing the importance of digital literacy to empower teens to be informed and responsible digital citizens, introduced by Councilmember Landau.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Landau.
Thank you. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Would the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution declaring March 2nd through the 8th, 2025 as National Consumer Protection Week in the city of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilmember Landau.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Landau for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution recognizing March as Women's History Month in the City of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilmember Losada.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Ketsi Lozada for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution recognizing, celebrating, and expressing gratitude to Charlene Samuels for her leadership and unwavering dedication to improving the lives of her neighbors in Logan and her years of tireless and selfless service to the City of Philadelphia and its constituents on the occasion of Women's History Month, introduced by Councilmember Brooks.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Brooks for a motion on the resolution.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution honoring and commending Sonia Garrett for her constant service to her community and her tireless devotion to improving the lives of her neighbors in Logan, North Philadelphia, on the occasion of Women's History Month, introduced by Councilmember Brooks.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Brooks for a motion on the resolution.
I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title? Y'all can clap, go ahead. Y'all want to give her a round of applause? Congratulations. Will the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution proclaiming the month of March 2025 as Irish Heritage Month in the City of Philadelphia and honoring the St. Patrick's Day Observance Association of Philadelphia, introduced by Councilmember Driscoll.
The chair recognizes Councilman Driscoll for a motion on the resolution.
On behalf of Councilman Brian O'Neill and myself, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution honoring and congratulating the Newman-Goretti girls basketball team on winning the Philadelphia Catholic League Championship, introduced by Councilmember Squilla.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Squilla for a motion on the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
A privileged resolution thanking A. Bruce Crawley, founder of Millennium 3 Management, the African American Chamber of Commerce, and a founding member of Visit Philadelphia, for his decades of leadership and invaluable contributions to the business, hospitality, and political communities in Philadelphia, introduced by Councilmember Ahmad on behalf of Council President Johnson.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmad.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution on your behalf.
It has been moved and properly seconded that the resolution be adopted. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Will the clerk please read the title of the next resolution?
Council President, there are no further resolutions in my possession.
That completes our calendar for today. Okay. Are there any speeches on the part of the minority? The chair recognizes Minority Leader, Councilmember Kendra Brooks.
Thank you so much, Council President. 2 weeks ago, I introduced a resolution condemning Doge and Elon Musk mass firing of public servants and cuts to services that the working families depend on. In my resolution, we directly condemn the way he was taking millions per day in tax dollars for his business interests, while the average welfare recipient has to survive off of a couple $100s a month. This is what oligarchy looks like, and when billionaires corrupt the legislative process. Since my introduction, Musk's task has escalated on the Department of Education, the Department of Labor, and every other entity that limits his power or protects working people against corporate greed. The Trump administration plans to cut food stamps, school lunches, housing programs at a time when working families are already struggling. And They're doing it so they can fund tax breaks for the wealthy. With these attacks from the federal level, it's up to us to fight back on the local level on the behalf of the people of Philadelphia. We do that with legislation like the Power Act, which protects workers and strengthens our Department of Labor, co-sponsored by 13 of my colleagues. We do that by not limiting our policy options to tax breaks for corporations in the city with a poverty rate of over 20%. We do that by standing with our immigrant and working class neighborhoods. Philadelphia, we protect our own. Also, we do that by honoring the work of public servants, honoring the work public servants do in government every day, which brings me to my resolutions today. As we begin Women's History Month this week, I wanted to recognize two of my sheroes, once again, North Philadelphia, Logan, Nicetown area, Miss Sonia Garrett and Miss Charlene Samuels. Both of these women have devoted countless hours over several decades to protecting and improving their community in Logan. I'm gonna start with Miss Sonia Garrett. Is a parent, a foster parent, a block captain, a poll worker, and a leader of multiple community organizations, including the Lovick Civic Association and the Nicetown CDC. In other words, she is constantly giving back to her community in so many ways, in almost every way possible. And next, I have to highlight Ms. Charlene Samuels, who is the president of the Logan Civic Association and a fierce advocate for her community. She's also the constituent services representative in my office. And way before that, she was my constituent services rep, my go-to person, no matter where she was, whatever role she served in, helping me navigate hard times in my life. So I was honored to bring her on as part of my team, and I'm even more honored to recognize her right now in this moment. What I can say about Charlene, she has helped hundreds, I'm saying probably more than that, Philadelphians find housing. She resolved conflicts and access city services. And when it comes to serving constituents, she accepts nothing less than excellence for herself and for her fellow public servants. Both in her neighborhood and here in City Hall, she has raised the bar for what Philadelphians expect and deserve. And for me, she is a constant reminder of what I am here to do, which is serve our people. So I want to honor both of these women and just say thank you. Thank you for your commitment to our community. Thank you for your commitment to our government. And thank you for our commitment to the city. Thank you.
Councilmember O'Rourke.
Thank you, Council President. Elder Edward Fields, pastor of the Ambassador Seat of Love Church, at the invitation of Member Young, I believe thoroughly fulfilled the request to provide invocation for our proceedings this morning. I said invocation. That is to invoke the aid of providence and aid in the sacred, into the business and the dealings of the secular world. Because, as Karl Barth said, we can't do it ourselves. So I want to thank Pastor Buster, as he is affectionately called, for being authentically led of the Spirit this morning, Spirit of the living God, and invoking that aid, that providence, and that Spirit from the Lord's house into this, the people's house, and doing so through song, as folks noticed. Member Gautier and Jess turned around and said, IDK Rev, looks like you might have some competition. I laugh, it's funny, she says it in jest, but it is funny because it really ain't no competition. For folks that don't know, he was in a competition already. I think it was back in 2020. That brother made it, I think, to the finals, top 10, in a little competition called Sunday's Best. So if you're looking for folks who can sing and raise the praise, Pastor Buster is one of the best at it. Also no competition because any of us, at best, are but willing vessels, used of the same Spirit. We are one in the Spirit, as some might say. Same Spirit that leads Pastor Buster is the same Spirit that leads me, is the same Spirit that I believe led Member Jones last week in his remarks at the start of the holy month of Ramadan, is the same spirit that led Member Landau and Member Jones to stand with me when we called for the release of one van after council, is the same spirit that moves any of us to sing, to speak, to write, to legislate, to organize, to do those things that are right and are just. Same spirit. We are one in that spirit. Flowing from that thought, with a nod to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, I want to offer up the words of the prophet Isaiah as an anchoring thought for the Lenten season. Our Muslim siblings got started last week. Now is the Christian's turn to step into this season of focus and fasting. He says, and I quote, "Is not this the kind of fasting I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them, and not to turn away from your own flesh and blood? Then your light will break forth like the dawn, and your healing will quickly appear. Then your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. Then you will call, and the Lord will answer, and you will cry for help, and he will say, here am I. If you do away with the yoke of oppression, with the pointing finger, with malicious talk, and if you spend yourselves in behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always, and he'll satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land." This is a holy month of Ramadan for our Muslims, a holy 40 days of fasting and focus for the Christians. Our Jewish siblings will be joining us not too long from now as well in their own holy days. And I just want to make sure that we raise this up and be mindful of the values and that spirit that drives us to do any good thing. I also want to mention and thank Member Jones, Chairman Jones, again, for chairing and hearing and standing with, as I said, Viet Lead and Juntos last week, as well as Member Landau. So much going on that I think speaks to what it means to do work for and on behalf of the people. Some of the issues that were raised in that hearing that we had earlier this week are of importance to so many of you here in this chamber, so many of my colleagues. I'm thinking about the forensic intensive recovery piece that I think will be of interest to the Kensington Caucus. Technical violations of post-release supervision that I believe is of interest to Councilman Thomas as well as you, Council President. First Judicial District's procedures around bail hearings. I think many folks are concerned about that. I want to thank everyone who came out to share their thoughts, their concerns, and their experiences. We have to figure out how to at least get our jails up to the constitutional standards, which is not a high bar. So I look forward to building on this effort in the months and years to come. Not only that, we continue to work on efforts that I believe are kind of a through line and an important lifeline for all Philadelphians across the city, SEPTA. We hear about that from Mr. Bladstein every single week. However annoyed you may be by his reminding of us, I do believe it is important. I agree with him on that front. We did have a hearing yesterday, and many folks felt that that was good. I want to thank Member Driscoll, Chairman Driscoll of the Transportation Committee, Member Gautier, Member Landau, Council President, others that came. There were some state reps and senators there, and I believe that we had a good one. I said in yesterday's hearing, and I'll say it again, City Council's remit on this issue boils down to local funding, which we boosted last year. I'm excited to see what more we can do to help SEPTA, and I don't see why any elected official in southeastern Pennsylvania would disagree with that. And I hope that we can all keep that energy from City Hall to Harrisburg. I could speak to a number of other things that are going on in the world, but I think so much of that has been said. That having been said, Council President, I thank you for your leadership in this chamber and allowing a young preacher to get up there and inspire me today through his song and letting it rock. This, I believe, benefits all of us. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you very much. Are there any speeches on behalf of the majority? The chair recognizes the gentleman from Northwest Philadelphia, Councilmember Anthony Phillips.
Thank you, Council President. I just simply wanted to say a couple words about Sonia Garrett and Charlene Samuels. My first public service as a council member in Logan began with Charlene Samuels and Sonia Garrett, and it was a cleanup around the Logan Triangle area. And when everything that was said about those two individuals today is true. They are absolutely the definition of what you call individuals that are reluctant leaders. They don't desire the spotlight, but when called to serve, they lead. And so I just want to thank Councilwoman Kendra Brooks for honoring them today and for all the work that they're doing in the Logan community. Thank you all so much. And I also want to thank everyone for coming to the legal dumping hearing. I received some wonderful insight on how the city of Philadelphia is doing a great job with cleaning the city when it comes to illegal dumping. So Carlton Williams and Commissioner Jacobs are doing some great work there. However, we're making some more progress around enforcement and prevention, and so that's going to have to happen, and that insight came from a lot of advocates and residents. So I want to thank them for coming, and one of them included Jim Harity and a couple other people mentioning that we need to begin to shame the individuals who are doing illegal dumping publicly, put them on TV, on social media, put their faces, and at some point, they can't do business in the city of Philadelphia. So I'm really looking forward to exploring what that looks like in the coming months. And lastly, I just want to thank the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers. They've been doing a good job with us, working with all of us to shame this administration for all the cuts that they're doing at the federal government level around our education. And I was happy to join several of our members at, where was I? I was at Prince Hall the other day, and then I didn't make it to the Widener, but Prince Hall, we did some lit drops around this issue and also some protesting. And honestly, we as Democrats just have to do a better job with uniting against Donald Trump. Today I just learned that our Democratic federal government congressional people, 10 members of the Democratic Party, voted to side with Republicans to censor Representative Al Green. And to me, that's just inexcusable. The Republican Party would have never did that to one of their members, even if they thought that that was a wrong thing to do. And honestly, it wasn't a wrong thing to do. It may not have been the right time, but the right time for us is for us to unite. So I'm very disappointed in those 10 members, and we got to find a way to unite better against Donald Trump. So thank you.
The chair recognizes Councilwoman Jamie Gauthier.
Thank you, Council President. Last year, with the support of this body, I was able to create a new property tax relief program called the Low Income Property Tax Freeze. This is a program that provides relief for low-income homeowners in freezing their property taxes at prior year levels. I thought that it was important to do this because I knew that an increase in assessments was coming, and that it would hit communities like mine especially hard. The low-income property tax freeze is a vehicle to protect, some of the most vulnerable homeowners in the city who are overwhelmingly Black and brown. By the original deadline for the application for the program was, I believe, January the 31st. By that time, we had seen just under 1,700 homeowners apply for the program or receive acceptance into the program, but we believe that 62,000 homeowners in our city are eligible for the program. So here I want to take some time to credit Councilmember Landau, who is my vice chair on the Housing Committee. She has been tenacious in tracking how many people are being accepted into this program and pushing for extensions so that we can get more people in so that they could see this relief. Her first push around this extended the deadline to February the 28th. And today, we co-introduced a bill that would extend the deadline even further to September the 30th to put it in line with the application deadline for some of the city's other tax relief programs. Additionally, our bill, as proposed, would allow for retroactive qualification for future applicants and move us towards the ultimate ideal of automatic enrollment for homeowners who are qualified, so that people aren't leaving money on the table. We instituted this program so that we could stop displacement as it relates to increases in property taxes among the most vulnerable homeowners in the city. And we want to make sure that everyone is taking advantage of it. One thing that is really special about Philadelphia is that we have always been a city of homeownership, and that has rang true up and down the socioeconomic spectrum. So we even have, a significant amount of homeowners who are low income and working class, and we need to protect that and make sure that those folks are not displaced from their neighborhoods, particularly by city property taxes. And so I feel proud of the work that we have done. Thank you to this body. Thank you to Councilmember Landau for pushing for even more time and opportunity for people to enroll in this vital program. And I hope that this bill makes it across the finish line. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Good job. Chair recognizes Councilmember Curtis Jones, Jr.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for those dates. Around 6:01 p.m., I'm going to enjoy them while I break fast. And I want to thank Member O'Rourke for his insightful commentary today in recognizing all of the religions during this month, whether it's Lent or Ramadan, and soon with the Jewish faith. Many of us had to suffer through the president's address. A lot of us boycotted watching it, not to give him any extra ratings on the subject matter. But as Member Brooks talked about, the many things that he began to bully Americans about, to intimidate countries about, snatching, land grabbing, and bullying the world. I want to focus on just one aspect of that bullying, which is DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And more importantly, some of the reactions private corporations have had to that, and educational institutions have had to that. A lot of people hide behind, well, the devil made me do it, but some of us believe that if you did it, you wanted to do it anyway. I focus on the fact that this week I had the opportunity to go up to St. Joe's University, where member Morgan Cephas of the House was able to negotiate a community benefits agreement that incorporated businesses, community organizations, schools. They adopted Gompers in a way that is going to be replicant of what is happening in Jamie Gutierrez's district with the University of Penn. I want you to know that whether it's the boycott of Target for the month of Lent, we have power. That brown people have the purchasing power of Canada. If you include black and brown and women, that exceeds many nations around the world. So we can choose to fight back in that regard. Lord knows I hate a bully. Lord knows, out of all, I fought bullies when I wouldn't fight for myself about stuff because they were bullying others. We have to choose to stand up. When it comes to education institutions, and they said, well, he made me do it, I can't, what do? I may lose money. I'm gonna say to you, life is hard. But we can choose to look at pilots to determine whether or not you're paying your fair share, whether or not you are contributing to the communities that you shadow. Choose your heart. You can either stand up to them or you're gonna have to face us. But we will not sit by and be bullied by anyone. There's too many people depending on what we do to defend them in this time. So we've introduced a resolution that looks at education institutions. I'm gonna applaud Member Gutierrez for what she's doing to work it out with Penn. I get it. I'm thankful for what St. Joe's does, but we're gonna look at each of those institutions to determine if you back up for this because you think you're getting bullied, then we need to evaluate what you do for the communities in which you reside. To the people who are listening, we ain't scared. You might think if you ignore a bully, if you lower your gaze to a bully, or if you whine to a bully, that's like the rationale of a rabbit whining to a wolf. It's only going to attract them. Stand up, hold your head up, fight back. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Very well said. The chair recognizes Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmad.
Thank you, Council President, and I thank my colleague Curtis Jones for his remarks to really talk about standing up when it's important. And I also want to thank all my colleagues today for voting for the adoption of the resolution 250171. Philadelphia must stand for justice and due process. Every person, regardless of immigration status, deserves access to fair legal representation. Legal support is not just a privilege, it is a fundamental issue of justice and due process. We cannot let a 34 times convicted felon sow division amongst us and make us despair for our humanity. We will not do that here in Philadelphia. Immigrants have always been a cornerstone of America's history, economy, and culture. We cannot ignore the fact that our country was built by immigrants, some who were brought here against their will, and even our founding fathers were, by definition, immigrants themselves, arriving without permission of the indigenous people who were already here. Demonizing immigrants is both hypocritical and counterproductive. Instead, we should recognize their contributions and ensure they have legal protections that they deserve. Many immigrants face complicated legal proceedings that can determine their ability to stay in the country, yet they often lack proper legal support. Studies show that detained immigrants with legal representations are 11 times more likely to seek relief and twice as likely to obtain relief than those without counsel. Ensuring legal aid for immigrants is not just the right thing to do, it also strengthens our communities by preventing unjust detentions and deportations. You know, this ICE enforcement creates fear and instability. They continue to make our communities afraid. Many immigrants are unaware of their legal rights when confronted by ICE and may unknowingly waive protections available to them. This resolution ensures that immigrant communities know their rights and have access to trusted legal resources when needed. We must expand partnerships with nonprofit organizations such as the American Immigration Lawyers Association, Philadelphia Legal Assistance, the ACLU, and others that were mentioned in testimony today about this resolution. Philadelphia's public defenders are taking a crucial step by forming an immigration defense unit, which will provide essential legal support to immigrants and those entangled in the justice system. Increasing awareness of legal hotlines, pro bono legal services, and the community training will help our residents navigate immigration enforcement challenges. As I said, Philadelphia has been, since the time of abolition and before, a sanctuary city. It has given sanctuary to those who have needed it. And so we have a culture and a tradition in this city, and we need to continue that. And we cannot allow divisive voices to move us on this issue and sow division amongst us when the humanity of us need to rise to the top. I thank you, Council President, for actually being for your cultural competency, which all of us must exercise. My colleague Curtis Jones already thanked you for these dates that people use to break their fast. These gestures tell us that we are a multi-ethnic space here. And you doing that signals to all of us that the leadership recognizes that. And that's why I stand with all of you to say we must fight injustice where we see it, and we must give people due process. So thank you very much.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Councilmember Jeffrey J. Young, Jr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank my colleagues today for passing a package of legislation pertaining to transportation safety in the 5th Council District. Since taking office as chair of the Streets and Services Committee and vice chair of Transportation and Public Utilities, transportation safety has always been a priority. So after community engagement, review of traffic studies provided by the Office of Transportation and Infrastructure Systems, these locations were identified as areas where bicycle lanes could improve connectivity and public safety with minimal effect on the quality of life. So I understand how controversial some proposals could be, but we want to make sure that safety and quality of life are always at the forefront of what we do here in the 5th Council District. I look forward to continuing to enhance public safety measures for all in our city. And again, we're looking to see where we can have the most minimal effects on the quality of life for neighbors. And there's a lot of Donald Trump and Trump administration bashing today, so I'm going to keep up with that same spirit, something I typically don't do. But as lawyers, we are held to the highest legal, ethical, and moral standards. So I want to applaud the Philadelphia Bar Association for issuing a statement condemning recent attacks. U.S. Marshals have warned federal judges of unusually high threats as Elon Musk and other Trump administration allies continually to discredit judges, calling them corrupt. These attacks threaten judicial independence, and we cannot allow these attacks on the integrity of judges just because they don't rule in your favor. I'm going to read the statement of the Philadelphia Bar Association Chancellor, Kathy Jafari, because I couldn't have said it even better. We are deeply concerned at the unprecedented escalation of attacks against the federal judiciary by the current administration, and just last week, the attacks by the president himself against a private law firm that was retained by a former special counsel. These attacks have included calls for the impeachment of judges who have stayed the enforcement of executive orders by the president and actions by the president's administration, and calls by the president and some members of Congress to restrict judicial review in these cases. These actions of the Trump administration are directly in conflict with the mission of our association and the values of our profession, which include respect for the rule of law, the importance of judicial independence, and the need to advance fair and equal administration of justice. As judges and attorneys, we commit to supporting and defending the Constitution. No judge or attorney should fear personal or professional retribution for the rulings they make or the clients whom they represent. These attacks are also dangerous in that they erode public trust in the justice system, which is essential to the ability to function effectively and to our society as a whole. Our republic was founded upon a system of checks and balances to ensure that no single branch of government could exercise unfettered power. In the tradition and spirit of the Philadelphia lawyer, the Philadelphia Bar Association stands with the American Bar Association in support of our federal judiciary and all attorneys representing their clients in the pursuit of upholding the judicial system. I really think that we have to, take into consideration that the judiciary is our last stance against fascism of Donald Trump, right? This is our last stance, and if they continue to try to erode our justice system, it's just to ensure that their policies, their unconstitutional policies, can then be deemed to be constitutional. When Donald Trump ran, he ran for office to literally change the face of this country. They want to make sure that things that we deem to be sacred to our republic are no longer sacred, so then they can become this dictatorship that he wants to create here in America. So we have to keep standing up, we have to keep fighting back, and we have to unite as a country, not just as Democrats, as a country, to stand up to this tyranny that Donald Trump is trying to reign over our nation. So thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me that time.
Thank you very much. The chair recognizes Councilman Ketsi Lozada.
Thank you, Council President. First, I want to thank Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmad for her resolution today regarding the importance of legal representation. Mi mensaje es para ti. La familia que está viviendo en miedo en nuestras comunidades. Quiero agradecerle hoy a la doctora concejal Nina Ahmad por su resolución que llama por representación legal si se encuentra en una situación migratoria. Quiero ofrecerle mi oficina como un recurso para aquellas personas que no saben a dónde ir, que tienen preguntas sobre el proceso migratorio legal, o que tienen familiares que se han encontrado en situaciones de detención. Mi oficina está ubicada en la alcaldía, en el 484, en el cuarto piso. Pueden venir aunque no vivan en mi distrito. El número de teléfono es el 215-686-3448. Estamos para servirle, entendemos cuáles son sus inquietudes y queremos apoyarlo. Tenemos que continuar viviendo, tenemos que continuar enviando a nuestros niños a estudiar y tenemos que continuar el negocio que hemos empezado en nuestras comunidades. Los apoyamos, tienen la ayuda necesaria y hay ayuda disponible en nuestra ciudad. Tienen un cuerpo legislativo aquí en el Consejo Municipal que los apoyan. Entonces, quiero que sepan que estamos aquí y que cada semana vamos a hablar en español. No importa lo que diga el gobierno federal del idioma que se debe de hablar en esta nación. Nosotros podemos y debemos hablar nuestro idioma en comunidad y tenemos que sentirnos en confianza de poder hacerlo y que nadie nos trate diferente porque hablamos un idioma diferente o porque somos de ciudades o naciones o países diferentes que los Estados Unidos. I always find it interesting that people feel comfortable coming into public spaces and spewing hate. I find it surprising that they can spew hate and then walk out before it's addressed. It's starting to frustrate me, and if you know that when I get frustrated, sometimes I can't control my passion. And so, with all due respect, Council President, when it happens again, expect for me to respond to it. Because if we don't put an end to hate in spaces like this, people are going to continue to feel emboldened and think that it is acceptable. Yes, this is a space where everyone should be able to speak freely about how they feel, but it needs to be done respectfully. Immigrants contribute a lot to this city, to the Commonwealth, and to the nation. And it doesn't matter how they got here. It doesn't matter what the situation is. If they're responsible contributing citizens to our nation, then they should be allowed to be amongst us and figure out how they correct or become legal. Not everyone has the luxuries of be able to pay the thousands of dollars that it costs in a process that is difficult to understand. And so I offer my office. I said it in Spanish. I'm happy to say it in English. My office is available to all of those families who are living in our city, regardless of whether you live in the 7th Council District or not. Please visit us. We will connect you to those organizations who provide legal services or resources so that you continue to thrive in our city, so that you know what your rights are. But you cannot stop sending your children to school. You cannot stop visiting our businesses. You cannot stop working. You cannot stop going to places where you find food to put on your table. We are here to help. My office is here to help. We're in 484 in City Hall, and we are at 4821 Frankfurt Avenue for those families who find themselves confused or frustrated or afraid of the legal process. I also want to share with you that I had the opportunity to visit Wellness Court yesterday, and I invite all of my colleagues to visit Wellness Court on Wednesdays at 3901 Whitaker Avenue. I had an opportunity to sit back and watch the process. I watched real compassion and empathy towards those who are actively living in addiction. I watched the amount of resources that they were able to be connected to. And I was able to hear success stories in that courtroom. Never had the opportunity to meet Judge Lewandowski, but have to say that I have deep respect for him because he's able to connect with individuals who are struggling in a way that I've never seen a judge be able to connect with. And there were people of all races in that courtroom, from all walks of life, most not originally from here. And so that only confirms to me that while many don't agree, the work that we're continuing to do in my neighborhood is how we have to do it. I participated in a lot of meetings this week that also further confirmed that individuals don't want people like me to do the work that I'm doing in the Kensington community because they don't want it to move into their community. I ask you, what are you doing to protect your community? What are you doing to respond to the need in your community? Are you talking to your residents? And where is your compassion and empathy for those who are struggling? Happy to continue the conversation and to continue to work to represent the residents of the 7th Council District because they also deserve quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well said. Councilmember Isaiah Thomas.
Good afternoon, Council President. I want to first thank my colleague, Councilmember Brooks, for the people that she recognized today. I don't even know if you know this, Councilmember Brooks, but Charlene Samuels and I used to work together. We were colleagues in another lifetime, and I've watched the amazing work that she's done, both working for city government and the nonprofit sector, and she is a pillar in the Logan community, the Logan Alany section of the city of Philadelphia. So I just wanted to commend her on that. Today, we passed a resolution around the Pennsylvania Municipal League, 125 years of celebration. I want to thank Councilmember Brian O'Neill as well as former Councilmember Derek Green. And for those of you who don't know, Councilmember Brian O'Neill is a legend in the space of National League of Cities. He's a former president, he's a board member, and he's somebody who elected officials all across the country look to for advice, wisdom, and things of that capacity. And every time I go to the national convention, this past year it was in Tampa Bay, Brian's praises are sung, and he's always representing Philadelphia in a great way. So thank you, colleague. We appreciate you. Two other things. So I also want to say thank you to Councilmember and Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson, Minority Leader Kendra Brooks, Councilmember Rue Landau, our state partners, and everybody who stood together concerning issues related to funding for public education. Similar to most people still listening right now, Councilmember Lozada, your remarks and other members' remarks, Councilmember Ahmad, Councilmember Gaudier, Councilmember O'Rourke, you guys are on point today. And if I could just add an attachment to the comments that we've heard, public education is on the list of things to be chopped. When we look at the threat that the recent conversation could consist of, if actualized, for children in the city of Philadelphia, this could be more detrimental than the Corbett administration. And anybody know about the cuts during the Corbett administration know that as of yesterday, we're still trying to recover from those detrimental decisions. So I pray, I hope, and I stand united with my colleagues in City Council that we'll continue to fight for every child in the city of Philadelphia and across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to assure, as Councilmember Gilmore Richardson would say, no matter what zip code you live in, you have access to a quality education. Last but not least, Council President, today we voted to approve the mid-year transfer, and I want to say thank you to all members of the Appropriation Committee, but especially our chairman, Councilmember Mark Squilla. In that mid-year appropriation, we had a lot of different things that we voted on, but one of the things that I just want to keep pushing is that we voted to invest in 2026, and I know it was some tough negotiations as it relates to putting dollars and cents into 2026, but here we are. While I am proud of some of the things that we are spending money on, I do have concerns about other things that we're spending money on. And I'm hoping that as we transition into budget negotiations, listening to the mayor's budget next week, we could begin to see 2026 be more of a priority to the administration, as well as to our state partners and federal partners, because 50 years from now, when folks get ready for our would that be 2076, they're going to look back at 2026. They're not going to ask about what happened during COVID. They're not going to ask about votes that we've taken on different issues that have a huge impact on the city of Philadelphia, just like we're looking back on 1976 and 1876. They're going to look back on 2026 and see if we got it right. And I'll be damned if I'm sitting in city council and we get it wrong. So I appreciate all of my colleagues and the great work that folks have done to advocate for what we know will be a historic year, and I look forward to the work to continue over the next couple months as we indulge in budget negotiations. Thank you, Council President, and a special shout out to you, Council President, because we are about to start budget season, and I know that there have been a lot of organizations talking about transparency in the budget process, and I don't know what's more transparent than coming into your neighborhood and listening to you tell us what you want us to spend money on, as well as what you don't. So I'm looking forward to not just our in-council chambers budget negotiations, but also listening to the constituents across the city of Philadelphia tell us what their priorities are. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Majority Whip Thomas. Rue Landau.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, colleagues. Today, I introduced a resolution declaring March 2nd to 8th as National Consumer Protection Week in the city of Philadelphia. The recent dismantling by the Trump administration of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has ceased all monitoring, ended lawsuits, and cut staffing, making consumers even more susceptible to scams and unscrupulous practices. The good news is that last year, City Council adopted the city's Consumer Protection Ordinance, which I introduced with the Parker administration, and it empowers the city to legally protect consumers throughout Philadelphia. As the federal onslaught continues, we must protect ourselves at the local and state level. Thankfully, we have resources in place, but I want to urge Philadelphians to be alert for signs of fraud and scams and contact consumer.protection@phila.gov or a financial counselor or a legal service provider if they believe that they've been affected. Another resolution I introduced this week is for Teen Tech Week in the city of Philadelphia. It's recognizing the crucial role of digital literacy in today's world. As technology continues to evolve and as we continue to fight for what my dream is, making Philadelphia the most teen-friendly city in America, our teens must have the tools they need to navigate the digital landscape safely, responsibly, and effectively. Teen Tech Week underscores our commitment to closing the digital divide and fostering an environment where all young Philadelphians can thrive in the digital age. I'd also like to recognize and congratulate Philadelphia's own Coleman Domingo on his second Oscar nomination for the film Sing Sing. Coleman couldn't be here today. He is going to come soon, and I will tell you all when he can be here, but he is amazingly honored for this recognition today in council. His portrayal of the wrongfully convicted Divine G, who spent more than 25 years behind bars, is especially timely as Councilmember O'Rourke's hearing this week examined how we can reduce the Philadelphia prison population, provide resources for those who are incarcerated, and ultimately close the detention center. Born and raised in Philadelphia in the 4th Councilmanic District, so Councilman Jones was very happy to be a prime co-sponsor. Coleman Domingo has continuously made our city proud through his artistry and dedication and the powerful stories he brings to life on screen. His leading actor nomination not only highlights his immense talent, but also serves as a reminder to everyone on this council that our incarcerated individuals are people with humanity and dignity. I watched Sing Sing last night, and I cannot tell you the connection that I felt between the actors and those who were portraying folks behind bars and the real-life folks behind bars. And the stories we heard this week in Councilman O'Rourke's hearings really underscores that their life does not end behind the walls. We have a responsibility to serve them as much as any other resident, if not more, since they need to be equipped with resources when they come home. Thank you to Coleman for bringing this story to life, for making Philly proud, and congratulations. And finally, I'd like to thank Councilmember Gaudier, Chair of the Housing Committee, for her leadership with partnering with me to introduce the proposed extension to the low-income real estate tax freeze, and the Revenue Department for their openness to extend the deadline so that more households can sign up. Philadelphians are leaving money on the table by letting this freeze pass them by. We must reach them. For those who may be eligible but who have not yet signed up, there is now even more time. The goal is to get the deadline to September 30th. If you meet the income requirements, you're eligible for a reduction to your real estate taxes and a freeze so they won't go up over time. Contact your council member, contact my office, or go to phila.gov to apply for this essential tax relief. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you. Good work. Any other speeches from members of the majority? Hearing none, the chair recognizes Councilmember Thomas for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Council President. I move that council stands adjourned until next Thursday, March 13th, 2025 at 10 a.m. sharp.
Second. It has been moved and properly seconded that council stand adjourned until Thursday, March the 13th, 2025 at 10 a.m. All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you all very much.